Today we have Jerome Treboux. Welcome, Jerome. Jerome works at Profix Australia, and he has been a data scientist for how long? For many, many years. For how long?
I started in data science, I think, 2011. Yeah, a long time ago. Thank you for welcoming me. Happy to be
And
part
you
of
have
the.
now become an AI adopter, right? Like everybody. So you're moving from the data science to the AI. So differently from many of the people working with AI, he actually makes money. So, or maybe his company makes money out of the data science and the AI. And since we have this recurring question, what can AI do? Is it just an automation machine for finance, or can it do something else that is actually useful? How useful is AI for people and for business? So we get these questions all the time. So I thought of inviting Jerome to answer this question of a few fields where he has applied AI or he knows of applications in AI that are actually useful. So that's what we will be trying to answer today with Jerome. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Rosa. Yeah, really happy to be here. My first podcast, so that's great. That's great.
For us, it's the third one.
Cool. I'm happy to be here and to discuss a little bit about use cases where we applied AI or where AI is applied. And I think, we will go through 10 different use cases. We'll talk about them. It's not in order of priorities or anything. It's just about how it comes, right? And I think the first one that I like to talk about is about healthcare and medicine.
Okay, let's start with healthcare. That then it
Yeah.
addresses all those people. They say that AI is only useful for business, for finance. So let's talk about healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're using AI every day, and you're thinking about generation of text, and you're using just your AI to do some recommendation or to generate some fun images and stuff like that. But yeah, actually, it is used in healthcare. It's a long time that healthcare is trying to use data science, and many projects are running for years now in research to apply data science and AI in medicine. It is used more and more now to help the doctors. And one of the use cases in medicine that I heard of while I was working in my previous job was about detecting some disease in X-ray or MRIs, right? So you're going to the doctor, you're taking a X-ray of your chest or wherever, and then instead of having the doctor checking the image and trying to find where is the disease, then you can just take this image, pass it through an AI model, and get some advice. So sometimes it's just to speed up a little bit the process. So you might have some zone or areas that are being highlighted for the doctor. And sometimes the model might even detect something that you cannot see as a human because it's too small or it's too specific. Or sometimes it's just because it is something that is different than usual. So you can highlight this area and saying, careful here, there is something a little bit different. Have a look. So it's just recommendation, right? Not just, but can be recommendation.
I like this example. On one side, we have people saying, it should help, AI should help people. So medicine is definitely one area where they can help people. And on the other side, you have other people saying, but AI cannot substitute a doctor, of course. The AI cannot make a diagnosis. And it's also true. So, but that's exactly one application where AI helps the doctor. First of all, because, watching all these radiographies or all these MRI images and finding the little tiny dots might be complicated. So the human, after a while, maybe, can miss it. And so the AI is then like a helper for the doctor to find the little things that he might not be able to find, or it takes time to find, right? Exactly, as you said, speeding up the process. I like this example. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like the AI will give to the patient directly the diagnosis, right? Then the doctor will have to analyze and understand and then do the discussion. So it's really speeding up the process and providing higher quality to the human, right? higher
It's an
quality
enhancement.
diagnosis. Yes, exactly. So we're talking about X-ray and everything, but can be as well an analysis of your heartbeat, right? Can be, you're having this type of watches, connected watches, analyzing all your different
This watch.
data and body, yeah, fitness watch. You have models behind that to highlight something that is not standard in your daily life, so you can maybe detect something that is going wrong. So really have to see it as, yeah, as a help. Yeah. And we can also think about prediction, right? Still in medicine, based on your data, are you more likely to have a disease? So be careful, and then you can tackle it before it really happens. So yeah. Number two, you mentioned about finance is not only useful for finance, right? So let's go to finance.
Let's go there.
Right after
We
the
have to.
medicine and healthcare, you can do so many things with AI, right? You can talk about finance forecasting for a company, but that's more like focus on the company. It's really useful. It's used in most of the big companies, and now it's being used in smaller company as well. But as well, something that is impacting everyone is the fraud detection, right? And fraud detection in a bank is very important, or in a bank or any financial institution. And one example I like to use is fraud detection for credit cards. It happens to me one day. I got a call from the bank saying, "Oh, you have an issue with your credit card. It's being used in that country." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, but I'm not there, right?" So, or I'm not there anymore. So it doesn't work. It's just by analyzing your behavior, your purchasing behavior as well. You're buying your ticket, and but then you're leaving the country, but your card is still being used in that countries and stuff like that. So they applying some model, can be simple statistical model, but then now they implementing more and more AI to improve that. This helps the consumers to detect something that is unusual again on the card. So then it's blocked. They call you, you receive a new card. Maybe your transactions are being cancelled and you're saving money. So it's really consumer protection. And I think this is a good example as well on how it protects the consumer every day. Yeah. What do you think? Did you had an experience on that?
Yeah, so actually, so what happens sometimes is that you have the macroscopic fraud. So they buy something huge, and that's of course then the company, the bank calls you. But then sometimes they have this tiny, tiny amount that they charge to your card. Nobody notices because it's less than €1, and so and then you keep going. But that's also something you didn't do, and then over time it accumulates. So yeah, so it happened to me to have this tiny amount charged to my car by some charity I've never heard of, some supposed charity. They called me and they said if I subscribe to this kind of things, and I said no, and then they took all the necessary actions for this thing. And this is harder to spot because the amount is much smaller. So the
Yeah,
model has
exactly.
to be trained on both sides of the curve.
Yeah, and I think the most difficult one, or the easiest one, is when you have a big amount. It's an outlier to your standard behavior. If you're paying a lot of, yeah, you mentioned 10 euros, $10 or whatever, and it's in that scope, then it's harder to
Yeah.
detect.
Yeah, the model can find a few other patterns that are not, let's say, my usual patterns. It's not spotted as a fraud, it's spotted as a candidate to the fraud, and then they call you, they verify, maybe it's not, maybe it is.
And sometimes it's a bit worried, right? Because you have someone calling you with an unknown number asking you about your bank
The credit
behavior.
card.
Yeah, and actually it's really the bank. So they're using other AI tools as well, finance, and you might have, yeah, I'm sure you did chat on using their chatbot. So when you're lending on a financial institution, you have the chatbot. Personally, the first thing I'm doing is ask to talk to a human because it's not really accurate, but these chatbots are getting more and more accurate because it's being retrained, it's being improved, you have more data coming on the model to understand what you are really asking are getting better as well. So yeah.
The chatbot is the big change, absolutely. Better, yeah. They're getting better and better.
So yeah, that was for finance. And then the third one is something a little bit particular for me. It's um, the transportation and mobility, because this is a field that is using a lot AI again. It impacts everyone because everyone's using Google Maps and other GPS maps, and all these tools to predict the traffic or to predict the best destination or the best road to go to your destination are using AI as well. And it's pretty challenging. And I know a little bit about that because in, I think it was 2014, we worked on that, Rosaria, together. We did some early stage traffic jam prediction models. So we trained the model to detect or to predict traffic jams in a smart city, so a city with a lot of sensors, and based on the behavior, can we find a pattern and detect the traffic jams? So we weren't detecting or predicting the traffic jams, but the issue after that is how to redirect correctly the traffic, because okay, you have a traffic jam on road A and you're redirecting everyone on road B, then you're just moving the traffic jam in a
Yeah,
potentially
exactly.
in a different areas, right? So
It becomes a
how do you
problem
do
of
that?
where to move the traffic jam.
Exactly. And you have to take in account maybe the width of the road, the traffic lights, maybe the number of people walking around and stuff like that. So it's very challenging, I believe.
It's a hard problem to solve, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So another big use case in transportation, of course, are the self-driving cars. That's another one.
Self-driving cars and self-driving bus as well. We worked on a project a few years ago about self-driving cars, self-driving bus, sorry, in
Bus.
Switzerland. So the bus was doing the same path all the time around the city, but you need a lot of sensors because really you don't have any drivers, and you need to make sure that if a human is in front or any obstacle is in front, the bus is just stopping. And again, it's quite challenging because you need to be careful of the surrounding, but the role of a car as well is to protect people in the car. So you need to be sure that if the bus is braking, you're not braking too hard and stuff like that. So yeah, quite challenging.
This is the self-driving car is a sum of problems. So you have the image processing, the sensor application, you have the speed calculation, you have, so I mean, it's a lot of things together. It's a very complex problem. The route planning, the decision making. The decision making is the big one now, right? But having all these sensors, actually, it feels somehow safer than being with a human driver.
Depending on the driver, I agree. Yeah.
Depending on the driver, okay? But because the sensors, they also look in the back, and
Yes,
you
correct.
don't.
But what do you think about both, like a self-driving car and humans? Because that's the challenge as well, right? Because the human is reacting differently than a machine that is following some rules. So, and you don't have that eye contact so when you're driving. So you're
So
not a little bit afraid?
I've been in a self-driving car, and I have to say, okay, the first 5 minutes is strange because there is nobody who drives, but you get adapted quickly, and frankly, you feel safe. I thought it would drive very, very slow because it's supposed to be careful, but actually it drives at relatively normal, natural speed, so you don't feel it much. So it's I don't know if I need a human driver anymore on that one. So maybe it depends on on the road you're going through. It depends on the skill of the driver as well. So maybe, but for small ride, that felt safe enough.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll try one time if I can. Yeah. Yeah. So should we go to the
The
fourth
next
one,
one.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one is more technical, and I was thinking about manufacturing and the industry. And in there we can mention many different types of application of AI, but the first one I like is the predictive maintenance. And predictive maintenance is really to detect when a machine will fail or more likely to fail, before it really happens. So if you imagine a big machine just running on 24 hours, even producing energy, for example, and this machine, when it stops, it's a big issue because you're not producing electricity or you're not doing the work anymore at this time when it breaks. And when it breaks and you need someone coming in doing the repair with the right material and stuff like that, it might take a bit of time. So when you're doing predictive maintenance and you know that this machine might fail next week or something like that because of this reason, in that case, you can send someone on site already, do the change. So you have a bit of time to plan, to get the material, to go on site, do the checks and see what might fail. And then you reduce the time of the machine not working. And this one can be for saving some money for the company, but as well, if we're thinking about energy production, you impact everyone because if the machine is not producing energy, we are all relying on energy, right? And I think that's really very important. And then that brings me to a project we've done recently here in Australia. We worked with a company in South Australia, Electronet, and they are responsible to transport the energy from the producer to the cities. So the high voltage lines, the big lines you see everywhere along the roads. And we were not working on the predictive maintenance, but we were working on optimizing their process, and more specifically to do some asset management tool assessment. Because when something is failing, then first you don't have electricity anymore. But if an asset is breaking, this high voltage might fall and cause injuries, start a fire or whatever. So you want to avoid that. So you need to go on site, you need to do some checks, see if everything is working well, it's good qualities and everything. And when you're sending someone with an asset to replace another asset, especially here in Australia, you're driving hours to go in in a specific place, can be really remote, and you're arriving with the wrong part. It costs a lot, and then you have to drive back and go back and blah blah. It costs a lot. So we were working on that because they have a lot of images that are being acquired by helicopters. So what we were working on is by using image analysis, detecting some parts of these towers and electricity conductors, and trying to match with what they have in the database, the asset management database or tool. So we were matching the information, we were validating that what is really in the field is matching what they have in the DB to reduce the risk of having the wrong asset or the wrong part being changed. And this part was for security, but as well speeding up the process for the company, because beforehand they were doing that manually, right? So can you imagine, Rosaria, yourself? We had, I think, 15,000 towers to check. So can you imagine opening 15,000 images to find out which part is interesting and if it's matching what is in the DB? Do
I
you
see
think
the problem.
yeah.
I
So
think I see the problem.
yeah, it's a bit boring, and you can use the engineers in a way better way. So in a way that is much more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. AI for manufacturing is can be used in a lot of these things, in a lot of this quality control, predictive maintenance, but even the supply chain. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely.
So yeah, that's about industry. I don't know. Do you have any question on that topic, Rosanne, or should I keep going?
No, I see the problem. I absolutely see the problem. So what about the next one?
Next one, retail and e-commerce. I think that's a big topic that might be for really everyone. So everyone had this or faced this AI impacting their daily life, especially in e-commerce. So you're going online, you buy a coffee machine or you're checking just a coffee machine. Sometimes you might just even talk or chat about a coffee machine. And then suddenly everywhere on all the social media and all the pages you're visiting, you have this ads about coffee machine and all the parts for a coffee machine. Did you have that, Rosaria? I'm sure you did.
We used to have the first chatbot was about the instruction of the coffee machine. The
Yeah.
first chatbot we created was
Yeah.
About the
about that.
instruction of the coffee machine. Absolutely.
So I'm sure after that you had a lot of advertisement on coffee machines everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, this system are using AI to see what you're searching for, what are you interested in, what are your interests, and what people like you are normally buying at this maybe period of year, maybe in your period of life, or just because based on your research and stuff like that, based on your needs. Every research you're doing is adding more context and providing more insight for the model to do some promotion about a specific product. So that's how the retailers are doing some promotion on specific products, right? Yeah.
This is actually one of the oldest areas of AI. I mean, it is around 2000, they started with all these recommendation engines. Definitely, this is one of the oldest branches of AI.
Yeah, I agree. They did a lot of improvement as well, right? Because before it was more like, oh, you search for a coffee machine, that's the coffee machine you should buy. Now it's you bought this coffee machine, you might be interested into
Yeah.
that, right? And sometimes it's not directly related to the product, can be a little bit side.
In one of the previous podcasts, there was this question if it was if we were training AI, or if AI was training, or AI was training us.
Yeah, yeah. But related to that, there is another field that is entertainment and media that is using a lot of recommendation system. So, when you are on YouTube and you have Watch Next, you are Netflix on Spotify. Spotify just released a few weeks ago, this new DJ based on what you like or what you might be interested in, and so on and so on. It's something we are using every day, but it's really helpful. And personally, I really like it because they're getting very good. Sometimes you're listening all the time the same music, and suddenly you have something different, and you're like, oh yeah, actually I like this artist. So it's good for the person, but it's good for the artist as well, because if you're thinking about a small artist that had not a lot of followers or is unknown for now, this artist might gain a lot of visibility, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
Maybe,
course.
depending on how it works. So yeah, I would say it's quite impressive. And in the entertainment and media, we don't have only recommendation, but here we're going into content generation. Have you tried
And
this
that's the
content?
big thing with AI, right? The
Yeah.
content creation. Yeah.
Have you tried some videos one? Like
Yeah, sure.
creating videos? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think also sorry, also about the writing. Everybody has been writing with AI now,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, you're writing your email with that. Yeah. But I was impressed about what is coming out now with the videos, especially because text now it's a long time we're using it. Images, it's okay. Yeah. But videos, like you can produce a
Yeah.
movie with AI if you have the right script.
I posted something on LinkedIn some time ago about the video editing. I've been doing video editing for a long time. And now you just, you talk to the video tool and you tell him what you want and he does it. Unbelievable. I mean, you tell him, isolate the piece where we talk about. He finds the piece, he cuts it. He asks you if you want to include the question or not or something, and it's done. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. That's one of the best improvements lately.
Yeah, and I think what is really good with this kind of tools you're mentioning is that you are saving so much time. Again, you can focus on something different instead of
Totally.
trying to find the right part and then knowing how to cut a video and then how to extract the right part and blah blah
And
blah.
then searching for the place where we were saying that thing. Definitely.
That's really good. After that, generating images in videos, I just wonder, and I'm not an expert on that, but I'm asking the question. Maybe you have the response, maybe not. But what about copyright, right? We've seen these issues with the styles being used. So who owns the copyright? Can we use it or not? And what
I
about
think
creativity?
at the very beginning, now I'm going to tell you this story. At the very beginning, that was 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote on Reddit this exact question. So there was not AI at that time. There was no OpenAI, no chatbot, there was nothing. So I created, I don't remember, but it was, so we used a GAN, and we trained the GAN, the generative adversarial network, on this data set of cats and dogs by Microsoft. The data set is copyrighted. So my question was, if I create another cat and dog using the generative adversarial network, the Microsoft copyright is still valid on these created images? Because in theory, it's a processing of these images. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how to define it. But it's a new image that was not in the previous data set. So I wrote that on Reddit, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life, because
Oh,
they
yeah.
started trolling me on this topic. But I thought actually it was a good question. Never got an answer though, so I don't know.
Okay. So what
But I got a lot of trolls and insults and
truth?
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure you had both sides, right? The one you're good and the
No, I
one.
had only one side. The one
Oh,
that
all
was
right.
saying, I don't know, they were just trolls.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No. And the second
so I
question
don't
is
have an
about.
answer. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
But it's a legitimate question.
Yeah. And the issue was there, like, I think it was like a few months ago, with this new style, everyone generating images
Yeah, yeah,
using a very specific style, and the style
yeah,
is an artist from Japan.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that's a bit tricky, yeah. And
yeah. It's
then
tricky.
what what with your creativity, right? Mm, Do we really still create something? Or is it like AI is using only what is already there, so you're not generating new
Yeah,
art properly? And again, that's few questions, right, coming in.
yeah. Also, the whole concept of art. Anyway, we are going a
Yeah.
bit
No, yeah,
too far away from the topic of what you can
yes.
do with AI, but also the whole concept of art is going to change for sure.
So next topic, AI can be used in education, right? And it has been reused since few years, since post-pandemic, right? When everyone was studying from home, online, so new tools were coming, a lot of online learning. So the online learning just exploded and everything. So it's not just generating new content in education, I would say. It's more like the creation of personalized paths or learning paths based on your needs or based on your capabilities. So, for example, you're doing your education, and the model detects that you're getting maybe a bit bored or not as much as accurate as before. So then you just change the style of the education. By that I'm saying, instead of just asking question or showing text, maybe you have videos. Then you're doing some quiz, some questions, and more interactivity, or maybe suggesting a conference or a podcast on 10 use cases about AI, for example. So you can really do a lot of things. And maybe that's for the students, but then for the professor, maybe understanding the behavior of your students, right? Because you can see that students are behaving a bit differently than before. So you need to adapt a little
Yeah,
bit,
also,
maybe change. Yeah.
yeah, also everybody has a different way of learning. So there are people that are more visual, there are people that are more abstract. So you have to adapt a bit to all, you have to cater to all different types of students, and they all have to learn somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Before, I mean, before with a human, it's difficult for a human when you have 20% in front of you at school, or maybe 100 at the university, to have a personalized learning path for each student. It's not possible, right? With AI, then at least for some specific course, you can imagine to do a little bit different depending on who's in front of the computer, right? So that's I think is a very interesting improvement for education, AI for education.
So this is a bit like the medical part. So you cannot completely delegate AI about teaching, but you can use it as a help, to automate a lot of the things that it would take forever to do. But even for the content creation, if it's supervised and you check what it's doing, it can definitely help with the speeding up of the content creation.
Have you used recently some some tools for education, like AI tools?
So no, not really, but I would like to. So there are some tools, for example, that they use the virtual teacher on the side, and I wanted to see how well it works now, but I haven't used that yet. But I would like to. I would like to experiment how engaging it is to use a virtual assistant. I mean, at the end, you use it when you don't know what you do, what you're supposed to do. You search, and somehow you use some kind of external help to guide you through things that you don't remember how to do. So I think it's similar, but I want to see if it's engaging enough or if it's maybe too boring and maybe you can do it yourself. But I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. So.
Yeah, let me know how it goes when you try. Next topic is security and defense. And security and defense, yeah, uses AI. I think for many years now, and I think the one that everyone is aware or helps like population is it's about surveillance, but for security, this video are still checked by human, but most of the part are analyzed by some AI, doing face recognition, doing some behavior detection and analysis. Do I have a strange behavior? Shouldn't be there, right? So things like that. And again, it won't. Maybe it will send an alert to someone to check and take decision on what should I do. But it's very good as well to, if you need to track someone, then you can just have the face, and through all the videos you'll have the person going and jumping even through different videos feed, right? So if you think about a building or something like that, and you have 10 cameras, if you're searching for one face, the video generated at the end will be with you going through all the cameras, and then you can follow Jerome walking around in the building during the day if it's needed. Yeah, that's pretty impressive to see how it works.
The facial I think that's my role to give a historical context to all these applications. We had neural networks before, and the big complaints about neural networks was that they were not interpretable. So you put something as input and you get something as output, and you frankly don't know what's the decision process that takes the input to the output. You put the symptoms of a disease, and then you get a diagnosis at the output, and you don't know how the neural network made this decision. That was the biggest complaint. And that's why somehow they were frowned upon. The decision tree came up and they were a bit more intuitive to understand. But then the facial recognition came up and you had to match images. So it's a lot of work to work with images. You had to match images of people, like millions of people, with one image. And that's not something that you don't care about the decision process if at the end the result is good enough, because this is virtually impossible to do in a reasonable amount of time by humans. And I think that was the turning point when neural networks started to be accepted again, because at the end, if the result works, then and it saves a lot of time, then maybe it's not important if it's not the decision process is not transparent.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And you need to understand a little bit how it works, but sometimes, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to explain as well when we're working on the AI prefix here with our customers is, okay, depending on what you want, do you need to understand the process because you need to prove and keep the chain of decision? And sometimes you just want a trend or you just want a result and you don't really care what's happening in the middle. So it's two different ways to tackle AI projects, right? Yeah. Then after that, I think I'll go to the tens first and then to the nines. You'll see why, because the 9 is very important for me, and I really worked a long
You have an
time on it.
emotional attachment. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go to the
exactly.
non-emotional attachment first.
Well, and this one is the daily life and consumer tech. This is what you're using every day for personal productivity. So you're using grammar checks all the time, writing your emails all the time, scheduling, summarization. These summarization tools are so good now, even for meeting summaries, right? We're using some very good tools that can do like the action points, very good and accurate summaries. identifying everyone. It takes time to get the report often, so it's not instant, but
Yeah.
it's really very good, I think.
Sometimes at the end of the meeting, you said, he did say that.
Exactly. Exactly. And as you said, you can click on the sentence or the topic, and then it will bring you back to the video, and you have the links, and it makes your life so much easier. So that's one. You have as well, of course, you have Siri, Alexa, ChatGPT, all that one. So Siri, Alexa for productivity, asking what's the weather tomorrow, play that music and so on. Even to do some online shopping, ChatGPT helps you to write or summarize or ask questions. I find myself using ChatGPT as Google almost to have a first response. And then you're doing further research. And then you have other things that maybe you're less aware is in your phone. You have a lot of AI. AI can be for just checking your pictures, optimizing the colors when you search for pictures or the brightness of your screen, depending on the lightness. So it's more like it's not AI as a tool anymore. It's more AI as a companion to help you in your daily life. And we can ask the question again, right? What are the guardrails and stuff like that? And that's always the question we have.
Definitely. Your little assistant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it works pretty well. It works pretty well.
Totally.
And then the last one, Hosea,
We are
I'll
all curious now about this emotional attachment to this topic.
it is agriculture.
Agriculture.
And why personal attachment is because I worked for a long time on that on my PhD thesis. And yes, we're using a lot of AI in agriculture and can be for many different topics like yield production, be crop monitoring with sensors and stuff like that, how it behave. And otherwise we're calling precision farming. Precision farming includes drones to spread pesticide in the right place at the right time, only if you have a disease in the crop, for example.
So basically, you don't spray everywhere. You spray control to the plant that has the problem.
Yes, exactly. Instead of spreading the products everywhere, you're detecting where the disease, you spread it. It's very good because you're saving money first, but then it's very good for ecology as well because you're
For the
not spreading
environment, yeah,
products everywhere,
absolutely.
environment, and for human right as well because you're having less product in your plate. So that's very
And then you
interesting. And
can do it early, right? It starts from one crop,
yes.
and before it expands to everything, you just treat the one that is sick.
Yeah, exactly. And you can automate that part because basically you're sending a drone. The drone is flying almost automatically nowadays. The images are being checked. You can think about just images, or you can think about LiDAR to have the distance, or some other like multispectral images to have more information. But that's an application, but you have as well AI driven irrigation. So you're saving water. You just irrigate when it's needed at the right place again, because maybe depending on the sun and where the crop is located, you need less water in that place, more in a different one. So you don't need someone checking that and doing the changes manually. So where I grew up in Switzerland, you need that, but the crops are pretty small compared to what we have here in Australia. And when I'm driving next to a crop and I see you're driving for a long time and it's still the same one,
It's the same.
you're you're like, yeah, maybe it might be interesting to have something automated, right? And pretty smart. So here it's really farming, but you can imagine as well if you have pigs or cows, so you just have like a detector or sensor in the ear or somewhere. We were talking recently with a company, they're doing that for pigs, like they have a sensor on the ear, taking a lot of different measurements of the pig. And it's very important because if a pig is sick, then can contaminate all the
Yeah,
others.
of course.
In a farm with, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 pigs, it's difficult to detect the one that is sick, right? Or that has an issue. So it's very helpful. And again, it's very good for everyone because you can optimize the production and the quality.
Okay, so but then just a curiosity now that there is this emotional attachment to the agriculture. So what was the plant that you were monitoring during your PhD thesis? What was the plant that sparked this love for AI in agriculture?
That's
You
a
didn't
very
say
good
that, did
question.
you? Otherwise,
No,
I
I
have to
didn't.
watch the summary and then I have to check if you said the plant.
That's a very good question, Rosaria, and that's also a very, I would say, tasty attachment. I was working on the vine line detection. So, in the vineyards, you have lines of vines. And again, I did that in Switzerland. And the lines are really close to each other, so you cannot go with trucks. You need to go by walking through the lines to detect the disease. And because it's in the Alps, most of them it's very steep. So to spread the product, you need to go with an helicopter. And just imagine with the helicopter when you're spreading the products, it's like
Yeah.
you're spreading everything, even the thing even the road, the houses, animal, everything. So that's why it's very good to use a drone instead that have a precision of 30 centimeters. It's much more efficient. So yeah, my attachment to agriculture and vine lines. Yeah.
We found it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we have reached the end. You have said the 10 use cases, the 10 areas where AI has been applied successfully. So I think we have reached the end. We are also at the end of the time. So thank you. Let me summarize quickly. So we talked about healthcare, how AI can be a help to automate some of the search processing images for doctors, for um, uh, healthcare professionals. Of course, the business and finance. And in particular, we talked about the fraud detection and the chatbots. Then we had the transportation, and we talked about the self-driving cars and the traffic prediction. Then we talked about manufacturing. So here we were with the predictive maintenance and the electricity lines, the energy lines in Australia. And then after that, we talked about the recommendation engines. So that's another classic for the retail and e-commerce. And from there, we quickly moved to entertainment and media because, recommendation engines are used a lot, as you said. And we started talking about content creation. Content creation led to education. So all these things at the end, they all overlap with a similar set of techniques. Security and defense, so with the face recognition and the surveillance camera, and then the little AI assistants for our daily life. And then, of course, we ended with the emotionally loaded topic of agriculture and vineyards and pesticide controlled spreading. So that was great. You have all this experience. The things, of course, is not exhaustive. You can do many more things, but that was according to your experience. So we thank you
Yeah.
hugely for this
Yeah.
little summary of what AI can do.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We can do many more. So we're working here with Profix Australia. We're working a lot of different projects, and that's the beauty, I would say, with AI is like you have unlimited project you can work on, and every day is a little bit different because then one day you're working with someone in security, the other day in the retail, the one after with agricultures. So that that's very fun and very interesting to work in that field. But yeah, Rosaria, thank you very much. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
be here with you today.
Thank you for accepting to attend this webinar. And thank you to the people who are watching us.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.